All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Sweat Equity. I want to just kind of do a short video on the snowblower. I got both of them in the garage right now because it is actually snowing outside. This is the one that's currently working. This guy right here, I used it the first snow we had this year. It did just fine, and then right at the end, I had to switch over to the other one because auger was not turning anymore. And so I just took the cover off. The belt for the auger just seems to be extra loose. I don't think it doesn't seem like it's broken. It doesn't, like I wanted to replace it, but for whatever reason, the belt that I ordered seemed like it was wrong, so I didn't change it. So when I squeezed the auger, I think you can see that, but it's still got slack in it. So I gotta figure out what's going on with that. There's just an adjustment right here. You can kind of see the witness mark from where it was. I just push it all the way down. You just loosen these 2 3/8 bolts, push this down, and you have one for the drive side too, which I'll probably adjust a little bit too, because there is a little bit of slop in that cable where this side is nice and taut now. So as your cables stretch, I guess, and as your belts stretch and wear, you can adjust this right here. Let's demonstrate on, I'm just going to go ahead and demonstrate on this side. So just loosen them. Oh, that top one wasn't even tight. And then just push it down to where this is tight. The drive was working fine, so I'm not too worried about the drive part, but I just want to take up some of that excess slack. But you don't want to go too far, because then it's going to never disengage the belt probably, and you're just going to be walking the wheels all the time. So I'm just going to let it kind of almost just rest, like just let it hang down and just give it a little bit of tension and just tighten it back down. And so now both sides are tight. The other side might be, I may not have to be as tight on this side, but it seemed like it was working fine. It was stopping the auger with it off. So I think that should be good for right now. Just a couple other tips on snowblowers is you want to make sure that you have it set, the height set up right. So I actually replaced this blade right here when I got it. I got that off of Amazon. It was not a MTD part. And I did actually realize that, and I'm not sure if it is the snowblower itself or the blade, but it kind of dips a little bit. So in the middle, it's a little bit lower than the sides. I don't really care that much. But basically the way you set them up is when I got the thing, one side of this was like completely wore down, like one side of the blade. And that could happen from the shoes on the side not being adjusted right. It could be just from having like a flat tire. There's a couple of things that can cause that. The shoes were pretty well worn down, but these are double-sided, so I just flipped them over. So the old one, the part that was right on the ground for years, is now on the top, and you got a fresh one on the bottom. And basically you just set like a straight edge, like a ruler or something. You slide it under there if you're just doing pavement, and you loosen your bolts on the shoes and just let them go all the way down to where they rest on the ground, and then you tighten them up. That way you have the right height and it's even on both sides. And it is important to make sure you have the right air pressure in the tires. I think somewhere around like 10 psi is good for these. You want them to be like a little bit squishy, but not to where one is totally flat. And then you have things like these wear out a little bit more on one side, and blade on the bottom that I was just showing you. Another thing that I do is I cut up pieces of tire and screw them down to the impeller right here. I have one on all three of them. I did this on both, and they kind of act as like a squeegee and scrape along the housing. And if you cut it a little bit too big or whatever at first, it's okay, because as you run the machine, it'll kind of wear it down to where it's like perfect. And that really helps it from clogging up. If you have, like, you know, just a couple inches of snow, sometimes it's not enough to really propel it out, and it'll just start getting clogged up, especially if it's wet snow. But this really helps with that. I just had like an old tire that I cut a few pieces off of. Did it to the other one too. Well, it's kind of hard to see. You can see where I have the nuts there. Let's see if I can turn this thing a little bit. You can see it right there. A little piece of tire. You want to make sure that you have shear pins in here. You can buy these pretty much any place that sells lawnmower and, you know, snowblower stuff, like Lowe's. It looks like a bolt, but it actually is designed to break away if you hit this on something that doesn't move. Instead of damaging the gears in the drive, it just breaks that bolt, and you just replace the bolt. And you can see the same thing. This has smaller shoes. These are actually not reversible. On this one here, they're both CRAFTSMAN. This one is a 5 horsepower, 24-inch wide cut. They both are about the same age. I think this is like 2004, and I think that's about 2007. This one has a 9 horse. They both are Tecumseh engines. This is a 28-inch cut and a 9 horse. Much bigger tires on the 9 horse. I mean, it's almost double the power. And I haven't really had a chance to use this one too much yet. This one I got back from a friend of mine back in 2016 when we had the big blizzard, like our last big blizzard in this area, and it plowed right through that stuff. And that's the small one. Where it struggles is when you start having packed snow from, you know, the snow plows at the end of the driveway, things like that. You can see it's this one, the red one's wider, just a little bit taller, not a whole lot, but just the bulk of the machine is a good bit bigger. You can just tell when you move this one around, this is a lot stronger built machine. These guys are, I think, normally about $600 new. These are about $1,000 new. I got this one for $300 and this one for $0. And all I've really done to this thing is I just put a new carburetor on it, throw a new spark plug in it. The electric start, if I remember, does not work. It runs, but it doesn't engage the, you know, the flywheel or whatever it's supposed to do. The way both of these work, and pretty much all of them, is you just plug in an extension cord right here to start it. You just twist the handle to turn the chute left and right, and then flip that up and down. I'll say that I did actually replace the chute, but it came with it. The previous guy had bought a new one because the old one was kind of bent. And this one also has the forward and reverse up here as opposed to this one, which is way down here. I did put some cheap LED fog lights on that, and I strapped a battery to it right here for when I want to use this thing at night, which seems to happen quite a bit. These older ones are really pretty sturdy. I mean, the metal was pretty thick, the sheet metal. I feel like the ones you get today wouldn't last as long. And of course, these are not built as well as the ones from, you know, the 50s or 60s, 70s, things like that. I'm going to try to hang on to these two. You're going to start noticing that I have backups for backups. You know, don't want to get caught where I don't have something that clears snow or cuts the grass or whatever. So I've got like 2 of everything. And most everything I have, I either get for free or pretty cheap. and just fix whatever's wrong with it and then keep it going. So, yep, that is the 2 snow blowers. We'll get out there, and I don't have much out there. It's a couple inches today, I think. We'll see. Make sure this thing is working good.